Maybe. Okay. Calling the regular meeting to order. Again, my apologies that the camera in the meeting room is not functioning tonight. The video will not stream, but the audio will continue to stream and be broadcast out on YouTube. We will attempt in the next couple of days to try to figure out why that is not working. Mary Lou, are you hearing us okay? Mary Lou? Yeah, I know she's muted. You have the audio turned down on the back?
I think.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear us,
Mary Lou, can you hear us?
I can,
Okay.
but I'm not seeing you, but I'm hearing you now.
No, the video, the camera is not working tonight for some reason.
Okay.
I want to make sure that our audio was broadcasting out okay. So
Yes, I can hear you. And I just want to let you know that for some reason, I couldn't get in on the public hearing. So I watched them on YouTube, and Mike, you and Ms. Anderson, I believe it was, did a very good job with the explanation. I was sitting here trying to say the same things, but I couldn't get on.
okay, well, we thank you for that.
Okay.
Okay, so we will call the regular meeting to order. We have already done the pledge to the flag and the roll call. So first, I'll ask for acceptance of the agenda. The town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor. I do have one add in that I have 2 vouchers that I'm going to ask the board members to authorize payment on that came in today. I don't want to wait until the end of the month. They're both very urgent vouchers that they weren't in time for yesterday's bills. So I'd ask for that motion as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay, next, Seeker Local Law 10 of 2022. Town of Rochester Town Board determines Local Law 10 2022 will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment and should be classified as a type 2 action under the following 6 NYCRR Part 617 criteria. No further seeker review is required. The portion that we're using is 617.5 C26. Routine or continuing agency administration and management, not including new programs or major reordering of priorities that may affect the environment. So do I have a motion to classify this as a type?
I'll make that motion.
A second. Christina, that's a roll call vote.
Councilman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Allen. Aye. Councilman Paddock.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cisa. Aye. Supervisor Bailey.
Aye. Next is the seeker for Local Law 11 2022. Town of Rochester Town Board determines Local Law 11 2022 will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, to be classified as a type 2 action under the following 6 NYCRR Part 617 criteria. No further seeker review is required. And again, it's the same condition number 26. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay, again, a roll call vote.
Councilman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Allen. Aye. Councilman Paddock.
Aye.
Councilwoman Speaker. Aye. Supervisor Bailey.
Aye. Okay, next, I'll open up discussion by the board on local law 10 first. If we want to make any changes, if we want to adopt it, I will say okay, what I did. I take Ms. Anderson's comment pretty well to heart that commissioners may be confusing. Would the board like to consider renaming this instead of Board of Ambulance District Commissioners, Board of Tax Advisory Members, or Tax Advisory Board?
Mike, can I
Yes.
suggest that instead of tax, and I know that's what they're using in Marbletown, maybe you use budget because you're not actually setting the taxes.
We're setting the budget.
They're helping you set the budget.
That would solve a lot of confusion with, with a lot of folks that I've talked to. I don't think they understand that, we're not taking over the day-to-day operations with this board, it's simply the advisory.
So the change would be, it would say budget, ambulance district advisory board,
Ambulance district budget advisory.
ambulance district. budget
Right.
advisory. So, okay.
And if you want to vote on that tonight and that you're only changing the title, that's not substantive, so you could go ahead and vote. If you
Ambulance
want to.
district.
Budget Advisory Board or
advisory.
committee. Call it a committee, because a board gives the idea that there's authority, like the planning board, the zoning board, and the town board.
Yeah,
So I'd call it a committee.
this is like the Historic Preservation Committee or the
Mhm.
Environmental Conservation Committee, because it's advisory,
Right.
so. Okay, so if we make that change throughout the local law, wherever it says District Board of Ambulance Commissioners, you will say Ambulance District Advisory Committee. However, that would be the only change that I would propose. As Mary Lou said, we can vote on this if we wish to tonight as with that amendment made, because it's just a name change. We're not changing the substance of the law. We're not changing the setup or the format. It's simply a nomenclature. So, who came up with that? You want to make the motion? You want to make the motion, Michael? Okay,
I don't remember what it was.
so the motion, I'll make the motion. No, Ambulance District Budget Advisory Committee. So I'm going to make the motion that we change the name to Ambulance District Budget Advisory Committee.
And make
throughout-
sure you have the name of which ambulance district it is.
Yep, Rochester.
Okay.
And so, Michael, you want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the local law itself, either the change or any other?
I have one question. So is this subject to public meeting law or is it optional for the committee?
Being an advisory board, Mary Lou, is it subject to open meetings law?
I believe it is.
Okay, there is your answer.
And it doesn't, it's subject to open meetings law, but it does not require public comment. But the meeting would be held before the public.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then I'll call for a vote. We don't need a roll call vote on this, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay. So moving next to local law 11. I'm going to make an amendment that we call it the Ambulance District Budget Advisory Committee, High Falls.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, yeah. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay. We do have later on in our meeting agenda discussion on the next steps for this. I can tell you that I'm guessing at this point, if people do not wish to stay for the whole meeting, that we will put out a call in the press and on the website for applications for membership to this. And that probably in January, we would be making appointments. That's my guess. I'm speaking for the rest of the board. I haven't talked to them about it yet, but I think we want to give people enough time to apply. So, Mary Lou, do you have any report to the town board?
I just want to say one thing, and then I'd like to have an attorney's meeting with the board after the close of this meeting to discuss some things that are attorney-client privilege. But before, in case people are leaving, I did say during the discussion on the local laws that they're subject to open meetings law, but there wouldn't be public comment. However, the public will be able to comment in the budget public hearings.
Okay.
So I didn't want anyone to get the idea that they wouldn't have any time to comment on those.
Okay. The supervisor's financial report, being that today is December 1st, it is still in progress for the month of November. We have not yet received all our bank statements. However, what we were able to discern so far is that the general fund revenue for November was $65,487.01. The highway fund revenue, $3,000.02. Excuse me, $3,002.76. Still waiting for their big CHIPS check, which should be showing up in the next 2 weeks, which will make all of us very happy. Expenditures that we paid yesterday with abstract 11. General fund was $135,590.84. The highway fund was $138,491.95. The street lighting fund was $1,220.37. The escrow fund was $5,691.06 plus $78.52 returned to an applicant with account closeout.
Can you read the general fund again? Might have written it down.
$135,590.84. The total expenditures for November, general fund, $210,079.98. Highway fund, $187,242.81. Would like to make a report on the adopted budget that was adopted by the town board at the November, what was our date? 16th, yes, November 16th workshop meeting. After the public hearing, we made more cuts to the general fund and highway fund. We ended up with a 1.06% increase total between general and highway, which amounts to $2.16 per 100,000. So the average house that is viewed by the county as a $200,000 house will pay $4.33 more in taxes in 2023 than they paid in 2022. That's total for the year, $4.33. We were, for those two funds, we were $54,005 under the tax cap. With the addition of the $175,000 and the $15,500 for the two ambulance special districts, we did exceed the tax cap by approximately $136,000. The necessity of that was the ambulance district. Once we finish the calculation with the assessor's office for the valuation of those two districts, a house in Rochester will pay, I apologize, I have the old numbers. If the valuation turned out to be a little bit higher, no, it's not in the budget, it's in my spreadsheet because it came out after we published the budget. The Rochester houses, the KFAS will pay about 19 cents per thousand, or $38 a year in taxes. The Marbletown ones will pay approximately $44 a year for the $200,000 house. So 38 and 44 are the two roughly. And that's because we had to redo the valuations, both of which went up in the 2023 tax roll, 2022 tax roll as compared to the original valuation in the 2021 tax. So anybody between the ambulance district and the increase in general and highway, the average taxpayer will pay under $50 a year more in town taxes than in 2022. I think that's less than $1 a week. Not too bad in comparison to what the jumps we all saw in the school tax bills this year. I will. The final budget is up on the website for anyone who wishes to view. It's been filed with the town clerk, with the Office of Real Property, and they will be advising the town of the finalized rates per thousand. There are sometimes minor pluses and minuses based on monies that may be due, monies that may have been errors from the previous year that may have been made. It's usually less than a $2,000 valuation, one way or the other. But the budget, the tax rate is an estimate at this point. They will give the final rate, but it never shifts more than a couple hundredths or thousandths of a penny. Excuse me. Still fighting the COVID cough from 2 months ago. Moving on to the correspondence report. To the board members, I put in your packets a pretty lengthy group of correspondence. There are 3 emails from residents with various questions, comments. One dealing with the Hidden Forest Manufactured Housing Park, and I did put that resident in touch with the Ulster County Health Department, so the board is aware, and I believe they got some resolve through dealing with the health department. The next was from a resident who had dark sky concerns, and an email from a resident who was having issues with operations at the court. I informed him that the town has no jurisdiction over how the court is operated, and if he wished to lodge a complaint, in particular about the operation of the court, he had to contact the New York State Justice Court Administration that they would potentially be able to resolve. It was something about something with his license that wasn't changed properly in his opinion, and he was unhappy with the results, but I said we had no oversight over that. Wanted to call to your attention from the YMCA, they are doing a bicycle mechanics training program from January 9th to February 7th, Monday evenings from 6 to 9 at the YMCA in Midtown Kingston. They do a lot of bike programs at the YMCA, and this gentleman, Tom Polk, regularly emails all the supervisors to let us know about it. Chrissy, I'll get a copy to Kate, and I'll get this up on the website as well. It just came out 2 days ago. An email from our now Webster Bank, what was Provident, from our account manager, just wishing us a happy holiday season. Having a account manager like that is incredibly helpful whenever there's any issue. A quick email to him or phone call to him, things are resolved fairly quickly. Letter from the Department of Social Services regarding emergency fuel for the 2022-2023 after hours program. They're doing a much better job of this now, where they have 3 companies that they contract with. So if there's an after hours fuel emergency, that company is contacted first to respond and address the need for fuel oil with the resident. If the company does not respond, the sheriff's office then calls the supervisor. I have in past gone out and filled people's tank with fuel and restarted their furnace. Some supervisors don't like to do that because they worry about liability. I've always felt that it's part of the job, and we've done it at least in my 5 years. I've done it at least 6 or 8 times. Sometimes during the day, sometimes at night. But last year I had no calls at all. It says to me that the county is doing a better job of selecting companies. Previously, sometimes the companies would service their own customers before they worried about responding to this. So it is much better. But and those 3 companies are located in Woodstock, Kingston, and Marlboro. So the one that is covering us is located in Kingston. Next, the New York State Pension Plan is transitioning to a new retirement system reporting. Excuse me. After December 31st, our bookkeeper, Seth, has been attended several webinars and has a direct person from the retirement system assigned to us and is working through the system with them. It's a very, very complex change in reporting, not necessarily in how it's managed, but in reporting. They've upgraded their computer system to a much newer situation. So everything is changing on that, and Seth has been great being on top of that. But just making the board aware. Received an email from the local division of the New York State Comptroller's Office, which is located in Newburgh. They randomly select towns to verify that the tax cap is being properly applied. Submitted the information requested from them with our budget, our tax warrant, our pilot schedules, and a copy of the local law, because we did exceed the tax cap this year. They replied back that that was all received. I have not heard any further correspondence from them. I'm guessing that we won't, as long as we complied, and I'm fairly certain we complied properly. Received our quarterly, this is quarterly. This is for the months of June or July, August, September. Sales tax payment of $61,116.27. On the back, you'll see how it's broken down. The towns get a total, all the towns together, towns and villages, get a total of 2% of the sales tax. And then it's apportioned by equalization, property values. So you'll see on the back how it's all calculated. And that's the amount we received. We are budget-wise in terms of that, we're sitting pretty well. We probably, because of the the bonus that was given this year from the county a couple years ago, Jim Quigley from Town of Ulster got the county and the city, who get the bulk of the sales tax distributed to them, to agree that if it exceeded a certain trigger point, that they would make an additional payment. So instead of the normal 3 payments a year, we're getting 1 more payment on that. So we did get that in 2022 because of the 2021 sales tax. I'm anticipating that the same will happen in 2023 because the 2022 sales tax has also been much higher than ever was anticipated. So call attention to our brochure from our recreation department. They do quarterly. This is the second time we are now printing these in-house. We're no longer sending them out. Bethany has found a software program that she's able to design them. And our new printers that we got last year allow us to print on this side of the paper, this size paper, and the machine will also fold them. No, it's not Adam's paper.
But now that I know we need this size,
Yeah.
I'll
We need this size in various colors because Ashley likes to do various colors. But it's considerable savings from when we were Stedner's for years, did a great job. But obviously we're paying their costs by doing this in-house. It's costing us less than a penny a copy. So congratulations to the ladies for their wonderful work. And that's it for communications. The supervisor's update. I unfortunately did not get the COVID report for this month. My apologies. Trying to get everything ready to get to the meeting with all the local laws and everything tonight. Grant updates. The Youngerville Firehouse is even closer to completion. The tower that I mentioned that we were waiting on has arrived and has been installed. There's some final cleaning and painting, touch-up painting that is being done. The former meeting room, which is, well, I shouldn't say former, the meeting room in the back looks amazing. By raising the ceiling, you can now see the windows in their entirety. The fire district secured some flooring materials, and it's a very nice sort of darker blonde color wood floor. It has a white wainscoting around it. The chalkboards were retained and put back up on the walls, and it looks nothing like. I wish I didn't. Unfortunately, there probably is somewhere a before picture. It is amazing the difference. Much larger kitchen for them, much larger area. So I'm anticipating that sometime by the end of December, this project will be finished and mostly closed out. The Harold Lipton Community Center, we are finally completely done on this project. Still waiting for the New York State letter back telling me it is closed out, but there is no more paperwork to file. There's no more things to sign. So now we're waiting on the state to just confirm that we're done. The Boyce Mill Road Bridge, the consultant that we're working with on the design, I know for a fact that their surveyor is out doing some work because our town clerk received a FOIL request for information on properties around near the bridge there in doing their due diligence to find out if the town had any rights of way. Short answer is we don't, but the surveyor is investigating. I have a conference call scheduled with them next week for an update of where we stand, and we're going to be pretty much doing at this point, probably monthly conference calls, and then as we move into probably next year, we probably will be doing bi-monthly conference calls with them. But everything is moving forward, still on track for the 2024 completion of the project.
You got that scheduled for next week?
Not yet. I just have to confirm. He had said one day next week, and so once I found out from you when it was good, I'll reach out to him and I'll try and set it up for that day. Building department and code enforcement record conversion. All our building records are coming back on Monday. The printer scanner is sitting in the crate back there in the corner. As soon as the building records, I didn't want to be trying to overlap both things at the same time. So once the building records get restored back, then we will get that installed with the company. And now with that point on, we'll be able to scan all our own maps. Every file in the building department will now be digitally accessible to the staff. They'll be able to use search engines of keywords. It's going to be night and day difference from what they've done in the past. It was a long 2-year, 3-year process to get there, with the grant being canceled and then extended, but we're on the home stretch. And that's actually what this voucher is for tonight, is a portion of the scanning. The other bill hasn't come in yet, but the Ulster Cares applications, just want to remind people, anybody who knows of small businesses, 25 employees or less, through Ulster County, they have American Rescue funding available. I believe it was up to $35,000 per business, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But if anybody is interested, and I've made several of our small businesses in town aware of this. So anybody who maintains a small business who has 25 employees or less should consider this. This is funding for many different types of situations for small businesses. And this is something the county legislature and the county executive's office and the Department of Economic Development put together with a use for some of their ARPA money. With that, did Kate give you any
Yes.
report?
Tax bill will be out by the first business day of January. Excuse me. And we did receive a resignation from Nicole Knapp, from the planning board and the ZBA secretary.
Nicole will be missed. She is online over the summer. She secured her master's degree in forensic biology. I'm not sure exactly what that topic does, but she is moving on to a different position, and we wish her well. And it's a much better situation with financial and a clerk's position versus whatever a master's degree in forensic biology does. There's not much comparison. So she made a point of saying thank you to everybody for how well we've welcomed her, and she said she's very appreciative of the job and the experience. And so if anyone is aware of anybody who is looking for a clerk's position, 35 hours a week, with 2 to 3 nights a month of night meetings, we'll be searching. We just received a resignation yesterday, so we will be posting this job and searching for a new secretary. The highway superintendent, we have a full salt shed right now of salt and sand. The price of salt surprisingly went down. We just paid that bill last night. They did go out in that one winter storm only for a brief 3-hour period, and it was all melted by the next day. So hopefully, we will, at least the rest of the year, we will, not need to use a lot of salt and sand. And, I tell people when I see snow, I see dollar signs. It's, you know, in the old days, I used to love snowflakes, now I see dollars. And they've been spending, the last month getting all the machinery ready and transitioning from the summer to the winter season. So we thank all our highway workers for all their hard work. Department updates. Michael, I'll let you go first because I always stick with somebody else and you end up last.
Well, stole my thunder a little in terms of the planning board ZBA secretary position. I want to reiterate what you said, Mike, and thank Nicole on behalf of the town for all the amazing work she's done. I've only been the ZBA liaison for a short amount of time. I think we only actually had one meeting during my stint, but I've heard nothing nothing other than high praise for the job Nicole has done. And I know that she'll be an asset wherever she goes next. So best of luck to her, and thank you on behalf of the town for everything she's done. You mentioned the need to put out a new rec, so I'm glad we're gonna get on that as soon as possible. Also, I know we still have the alternate position that I think we've had a lull, so it's lucky that we haven't needed to use that, but I think something we should discuss for January meeting.
Yep.
Spectrum. So I have recommended edits. I made the edits that Mary Lou suggested. Some of that was some language to clarify some things. I also last weekend drove to the 3 different project areas and tried to talk to the residents and the neighbors to confirm both that the addresses that we were getting were correct and the addresses that we thought might have been missed were included. So I have some more details on that. We can discuss that during the discussion section later. EMS and fire. Spoke to Chief Demarest earlier in the week. He said things are going well. I know they have their own in-house elections for their leadership coming up. I think it's next week, he said. And then fire commissioner's election is, I think it's Tuesday, the 13th of December, but I was looking on the website. Did the posting come down? Or is it, did I just not find it again? Or maybe I hallucinated it, I don't know. But
I believe it is the 13th.
so 13th is a Tuesday. I'm 99%
It is
sure
the
it's that week.
13th from 6 to 9 p.m.
After
And
Accord
they
Fire.
have polling stations at the Accord Firehouse and at the Rochester 2 on Sampson Mill Road.
Do you know if the notice came off the website?
I don't know. I will double check. It may have just scrolled down in that it's further down because as new ones go, it only shows the last 5.
Yeah, I was figuring out.
You
We're,
can-
we're updating the website, so hopefully it'll be improved. Nothing new to report on Marlborough First Aid Unit or KFAS. I did talk with Mr. Nurko, Mr. Diddy about the establishment of the boards. They gave me perspectives on that. I know we heard a lot from the residents today, so that's good. I think both squads are excited about moving forward. I did get some, and this is my fault because of the earliness of the meeting. I emailed today to see if by chance I have the right numbers. I did get some numbers from KFAS that were a screenshot that was shot over to me. So they had 68 total calls, responded 65 times for a 95.5% response rate. And hopefully when I get the Marlborough First Aid Unit numbers, I'll update one of those. But glad to see that we're hitting good numbers in that response rate. And that's everything from me.
Good. Charlotte.
So the elder care program, Rich had hinted about 7 flyers out while doing stops in the community, and then we had 1 new application for the elder care program. And he did also stop by the Thanksgiving Day event, and then he handed out more flyers there while at the event to anyone interested in signing up for the elder care program. And then the housing committee, we're hopefully making some appointments later tonight after we did our interview. So it should be getting some more traction.
Okay, so for the ECC, they had a meeting this week, where they had a special guest, from the Catskill Native Nursery to discuss a proposal for putting in a pollinator garden with the plants that we would need, that they would need to do a pollinator garden at the town hall.
That's the one at the town hall they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so they, we had a really wonderful discussion about the, importance of native plants in communities and lawns.
If I can interrupt 1 second, if you can also ask them to consider incorporating some of that into the plantings at Veterans Park as well as the one in front of town hall. Like we're talking about.
Then they don't have a third Thursday, this month. And they resume next month, the third Thursday talk is on climate change. For the transfer station, I don't have any huge updates. I'm entering in the time of year where I can spend more time. And I do like to spend more time at the transfer station. So, I am hoping to embark on some projects that I've wanted to do. One of them is to make some, more signage that is very instructive of what can be put, in recycling bins. Also, I did a tour of the VCRA on Monday with the County Recycling Oversight Committee, where I learned that we can invite their director of recycling to come do a facility walk with us and our staff and talk about things that we could do. We'll also be having the new executive director come do a facility tour with us when we're able to schedule that. One of my liaisonships that I don't normally give a report for is liaison to agriculture. And I wanted to let the board know that I was asked over the summer by several area farmers to hold a special discussion session in the winter time. And I have scheduled that for December 11th. Councilman Coleman will be doing that with me. I've sent out, so one thing that I learned, I created a spreadsheet of all the farm businesses in town. And so far, I actually don't even think I have all of them. There are 47 individual operations listed. And I don't even think that captures it. I have some people in town helping me because I want to invite everyone. I think there might be some family farm parcels that aren't even included on that. So it's probably going to be over 50 operations in our town, which really, gives me the chills to think about we think of ourselves as a small town, but we are an agricultural community. So we're doing that at the community center here at 2 p.m. It is open, but I really do want it to be a discussion of farmers, people involved in agriculture. So that's why we're doing those personal invites. And then for the code enforcement office, I don't think I have any updates. They are excited about the possibility of getting a new vehicle. And
Yeah, the Tahoe is finished.
yes.
Jeff came to me the other day and said, but I think we got that, Rich got that off of an auction site, I
Right.
think for, I don't know, less than approximately $1,000, maybe 2,000. I don't know exactly what it was. We got at least 7 or 8 years out of it. So we got our money for that.
Right. And then for the planning board, I was not able to make it to the November meeting, but I know they had 3 applications. One is for a market to come to the former 30 Minutes of Everything building. So that's a big, complicated project, but, something to keep an eye on. But it would be great to have something move into that space.
Sorry, the people doing it, either currently or previously had a business in the Woodstock
They
area.
currently do.
They currently, do.
Yes.
Yeah, they live near here, and when it became available, they purchased it with that intent of turning it into some kind of market and I think they're looking at prepared
Yep.
foods kind of
They
thing.
have a market, it's a Filipino market, and then they do prepared foods, hot foods. And the cool thing about it is I've been to the location in Woodstock, and then it's in an old historic building that doesn't have a parking lot. So it's actually, I think this, the parking lot, it's a much
And they're
better,
not doing this one in addition, they're doing.
I'm not sure what their plans are.
I believe, because when the woman first called me over the summer about it, I believe she said they're gonna close it. And it was like, because this is closer to where they live here in Accord, near here, so.
But they had 2 other agenda items last month and then, an upcoming meeting this month. Then I also wanted to thank Nicole for her service. I came and visited her today. And one thing that I especially want to thank her for is she is putting together a guide for her successor that includes everything that she wished she had known. And that the value of that is beyond measure to have that institutional knowledge passed on. So that in addition to the thanks for her service, I wanted the board to know and the public to know that, you know, we also should be grateful for that, for both service for both the ZBA and the planning board. So I think that's it.
Okay. Adam.
Constabulary, had 12 direct calls for service in November, including 9 neighbor-to-neighbor quality of life complaints, 2 resident traffic complaints on Whitfield and Lower Whitfield, 1 environmental complaint on Whitfield Road, 6 new building department violations, 0 new court cases were open, 9 court proceedings remain open, and 0 court proceedings closed. Interesting occurrences in November, they'd seen a general decrease in residents' complaint overall. Traffic complaints were down at the beginning of the month, but rose significantly towards the end, likely due to the Thanksgiving holiday. They stopped by the community center during the well-attended Thanksgiving Day event and spoke with many residents. Several of them showed interest in the elder care program, and many flyers and applications were handed out. Trespassing and harassment, garbage dumping, noise complaints continued this month. Investigations are ongoing. Many have been attributed to the short-term rental properties. They continue to generate increased number of complaints that include trespassing, loud noise, road and driveway blockages, garbage and trash dumping. They'll continue to work with the building department on those issues. Neighbor-to-neighbor complaints have remained consistent this month and have all been diffused without further action. Mr. Rich Miller, and then when we go over to the rec department, just I want to just congratulate again Ashley and her staff. They're doing a tremendous job. There's been a real increase in volume of community participation through the programs they're doing. But Ashley's report says thanks to all who donated in any way the community, any way they could for the Thanksgiving luncheon. It was a great event, and they were very grateful to each and every one of you that participated or helped out. We had a wreath making workshop right here. There was a lot of fun on Wednesday, November 30th. 21 people attended, and thanks to the assistant of the recreation director, Bethany Denon, for teaching class. The youth holiday party is Friday, December 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the community center. Residents should call 626-2115 to sign up. Santa and Mrs. Claus are going to attend. December 16th will be the senior holiday breakfast from 10 to 12 at the community center. Come enjoy delicious pancakes and call the rec department to sign up. Again, number 626-2115. They will be offering more paint classes again in January, so keep an eye out for those. And look for the Town of Rochester Recreation Department on Facebook. And a happy holiday to all from Ashley and Bethany. And, again, also KBA is in full swing and with a record number of participants.
I may have missed. Did she give a number of participants for the Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay. I
A lot.
do want to, yeah, I do want to take a moment to just say thank you to both of them and to Kate and to many other volunteers who help on the day of the event. I got here a little after noon and it had started at 11 and they were running out of gravy already and they served a record number of people, I think. Those two ladies and Kate do a pretty amazing job of putting that together every year. Bethany sadly was not feeling well on the day of the event and opted to stay home, and that probably was the best for her. But I talked to her afterward, and she said it was one of the most painful decisions she had to make to not be here. But we got through it, and our rec department continues to do great projects. Very impressive. Assessors report. They are continuing to organize the office to work more efficiently. We now have a desk in front of our assistants, our assessor's aide position. So any member of the public who comes in to fill out paperwork has a desk that they can sit at, fill out the paperwork, gives them plenty of room. We got this because our assessor asked for a new desk and we found a very economical desk and replaced his old one and moved that one over. So we continue to reinvent ourselves. He is continuing doing property inspections of new construction and renovations. They're continuing to process sales, entering building permits, which we have had many this year, certificates of completion, issuing 911 addresses. They're pulling plans on the building department, and then they are working with a software program that allows sketches of new construction that can be done on it in additions. They're reviewing assessments on the new construction and the renovations. They're answering a lot of phone calls, primarily about exemptions. They're assisting property owners with their exemption and assessment questions. In November, the office sent out renewal applications to everyone that required an annual renewal, such as senior citizens, disabled persons with limited income, agriculture, fully exempt, grandparents, clergy, and forest exemptions. Those are being reviewed as they come in, and I can tell you there's been a pretty steady stream of people coming in and bringing in information, and I constantly hear our aide and our assessor working with those people. Those exemptions are due on March 1st. There is no exception that can be made. If you do not have them by March 1st, they cannot be applied. So please, anybody you know that has exemptions on file with us, make sure they get their renewals in by March 1st. And anybody who has exemption questions, our assessor had been doing a half day with us and a half day with Marbletown and Rosendale. He's now going to do 2 full days in Rochester and then a half day, and do 2 full days and a half day in Marbletown and Rosendale. He feels like this will be better served where he's in our office for a full 2 full 8-hour days rather than 4 and 4 and commuting back and forth. So he is primarily doing with us, I believe, and you should check his schedule on a week-to-week basis, but I believe he's doing a half day Wednesday, full day Thursday, full day Friday. So I believe that is his current plan. So he's doing 8-hour days on Thursday and Friday and a 4-hour day on Wednesday. He's always reachable by phone for any questions, so, and any messages can be taken and we can find out answers. I think that's all the reports I have. So then we will move to public comment. Yes, please.
I'm very interested in this as former chair of the zoning board. Mike, I know you have spoken to the powers that be at 35. There has been much ado about the lighting coming from that situation. The zoning law, under general provisions, the zoning law 140-2. And we know that this is the legislative intent of this chapter to provide standards and procedures to guide land use and new development. Under H of this law, minimizing disturbance to wildlife and vegetation to effect of new development. Preventing the intrusion of incompatible uses in residential areas so as to ensure privacy for residents and their freedom from nuisance. Now, I'm gonna go further. Now, I'm not sure, because I haven't followed what letter you're on with the new coding. If you've gotten to local law U, which is addresses, 140-20, the zoning law. So my first statement will be with the black lettering on the page as compared to the red. I'll leave the red to last. I'm not sure. It's under K for lighting, number 1. Lighting for all commercial, multifamily, residential, institutional, and industrial uses shall be shielded and focused downward to prevent glare and spillover of light onto adjoining property. All lighting shall, number 2, all lighting shall be designed so as to avoid unnecessary or unsafe spillover of light and glare onto operators of motor vehicles, pedestrians, and land uses in the proximity to the light source. No direct or sky-reflective glare, whether from floodlights, high temperature processes such as combustion or welding or other sources. I'm mostly addressing the lighting of this, so as to be visible at the property line on a regular or continuing basis shall be permitted. Lighting contours shall be required on the site plan for the purpose of determining compliance with the section. I don't think that exists because they put the lights up, and I don't think there's any lighting site plan from the owners of that property.
Okay, let me see if anyone else has any public comment.
Wait,
And then
I'm not
okay,
done.
I'm sorry.
Road lighting shall ordinarily not be permitted except on sidewalks, etc. Okay. I'm not gonna get into lumens. I have no idea. Lumen distance, whatever, okay? Okay. This is the red line one, and I'm not sure.
So the red is proposed at
The
this
red
moment.
is proposed, so this has this piece, it's not been adopted.
That-
Okay.
Nothing in the zoning,
I am
Other
going
than
to encourage number 7 at the top of my list. All exterior and sign lighting, with the exception of related building mounted lighting, shall be turned off outside of hours of operation. Safety related building mounted lighting shall preferably be motion sensitive lighting. There is 1 acre of property, although I bound them on the top, but there is 1 acre of property between myself and the building at 30 Cherrytown Road. It's very nice. I don't have to use my lights to go up my back deck. I could play baseball at night, but I really don't like the idea that it shines through my deck. 1 acre is how far that light is. I will not speak for anyone else. There's been a lot of dialect on next door. They're breaking the law. Period, the end. They need to be called to task, show their lighting site plan. They need to be told to turn it off until such lighting is taken care of. They're well exceeding whatever property. They're going over everybody. If I wanted to walk out off of Cherrytown Road on Smith Flats, when I come to the edge of Pine Cemetery, I could walk from that piece on Fall Courtright all the way down to where I used to go across Mrs. Collier and on to my 1 acre. And be perfectly well lit at midnight.
Will the board allow me to respond, because I can tell you what the problem is, and I concur with you. I 100% agree with you.
1 acre. of
Understood. If you go back to that, since you have the code in front of you, you go to the very beginning of the code, you will see 140-20 is for new applications. Just allow me to
Okay, go ahead.
finish. So under, you do not need to apply for a building permit or a zoning permit. You do not need to go to the planning board currently to do outdoor lighting unless you are there for a specific site plan or special use application.
Okay, I'll buy you.
So here's the problem, and I am saying I agree with you, and I have
I mean, the board is welcome to come and visit.
understood, and I'd be, let me finish explaining though. So you know where I live, you know I see it every day too. I see it from my bedroom. I am talking to the rabbi. The problem is they're not breaking the law because they didn't have to apply to any permits to put those lights in. Two things I can answer that. One is, one of the changes the town board is looking at is creating a standalone outdoor lighting code that will be for the entire town. And it will not be a part of the zoning code. It will be a standalone chapter that will then cover outdoor lighting, will allow the code enforcement officer to enforce these things. The problem is right now, there is no code against putting a light up.
You're
on your
saying
property.
that Black Stadium lights for here in time of-
It doesn't, the point is they did not have to come for a permit for those.
Okay,
So,
I got it.
so just like you could, and I'm not saying you should or would, you could do the same thing without a permit. You don't need a permit to put outside lights up. So they're not in violation because that code only addresses, and it says clearly in there, new applications. And this is not a new
In the
application.
black writing as well? In the-
Yeah,
The black writing is
yeah.
not the old.
The black is the old. Yeah,
Exactly. So there is coverage in black. In the
Un-
black writing.
understood, but my point is, that law, section of law only comes into actuality if they are in front of the planning board. They didn't have to come in front of the planning board
Okay.
to review.
In the general provisions. General provisions have been on
Understood,
for a very long time.
understood.
So,
I'm just thinking how to use my curtain.
I'm not disagreeing with anybody. I'm just telling you though, we don't have power at the moment to enforce anything. They are not,
men are preventing intrusion of incompatible uses in residential areas.
right,
They're
that's a,
lighting.
but it's a statement of policy. It's, Mary Lou, maybe you can help me
So
on
What
this.
about the animals? It also says in here about nature habitat.
Understood, but it's not a specific standard. It's a statement of policy.
It's, right,
That the
here's,
code then,
That would allow us, right?
exactly.
So
Which we
this-
don't have yet. We definitely. need some-
Agreed, and it is on our list. We talked about it last night. We pulled examples of it. I freely agree that this is a problem. And I will say though, if I can ask you a question, are the stadium lights still on now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because did they go up at all at one point?
No,
Okay. Because I reached out to the rabbi and they turned off the lights on the side of the buildings. And I thought maybe someday, if you would allow me to, I'll come look from your house and see which ones you're seeing.
We can
because
go, I'll make.
in the back- No, I know, and as do I. I'm looking downhill at it, I see it too. I see it every night. Okay.
And if it's Christmas,
I-
maybe I'll have good eggs.
Agreed, but we don't have, I'm agreeing, I'm agreeing it's a problem. The problem is there is no mechanism in place that we can do anything about it at the
So-
moment.
Unfortunately, we didn't have Wi-Fi here yet. We couldn't see the meeting.
I got
if we had, you would have seen a very long discussion where we talked about establishing a lighting code. And hopefully we'll have
I'm hoping at our December workshop meeting, we will have a draft.
But that's not gonna apply to them because they're gonna grandfather themselves.
No.
we don't have
This will, and this is why I'm saying this will not be part of zoning. This will be a standalone code that anybody who's not in compliance, the code will say you have to come into compliance.
by a
So
certain
all
amount
the
of time.
years, Mary, I came to this, Mike, with you,
Yeah.
all the years that I sat on the zoning board and this chair, when I was taking these general provisions and enacting them and using them to make decisions, they weren't worth the powder.
No, that's,
shots to blow them to.
no, but what they are is they're an overarching concept that then the rest that justify, it's like the preamble to the book. So when you get to the code sections of you must do this, you must do that, downward shielded, no light spill on the neighboring properties. Right. Right. So that beginning is verbiage that is the basis for writing the code that says this is why the code, it allows the code to be written. But it's not a specific standard. It's a, because you have to justify why you're writing the standards, and that's the explanation for the standard.
As a tax-paying citizen,
Mhm.
and I go, and it's kind of aimed at Mary, but not at you, but I'm
Understood.
not sure where it goes. Can I go to the building department and ask them to do something about this and
Well-
force an appeal of the code enforcement officers?
Well, the answer is if they don't have any legal authority to do something about it, they can't.
Well, so the process that's in the code is anyone can go into the office
Oh, I know.
and file a complaint, but it's
I
not considered a decision if they choose to to do something.
I know, I'm asking some of these questions because, not because I don't know the answers. but-
And I'm saying, what we have basically here is we have a situation that was never envisioned. And there is nothing in our code that deals with outdoor lighting unless you're doing a new site plan or special use. Then your lighting has to be looked at and considered and has to be in compliance with that section of code. I will tell you, when we wrote the zoning code back in 2008, and I was on that committee, that was a really big sticking point, and I will say it was Mr. O'Halloran, rest his soul, who was very specific to say, we don't want this to apply to anything other than applications to the planning board and zoning board. And that whole section standard only applies when a project is new or being changed. But being changed to the level that it goes to the planning board or the zoning board.
This
And
project,
Actually, the Valero is a prime example.
I-
The lighting there was the same thing. It probably exceeds now.
they do have tax on them.
Understood. And on the reverse, when the new gas station that's opening up where, next to where the laundromat is,
The old PX.
the OPX, that one did go through planning board review, and they were very thorough on the lights. And I've had remarked to me by several people on the planning board that it's the lowest number of foot candles, which is essentially the lumens, that they have ever seen on a gas station. So we know the process can work. The problem is we don't have any authority. I mean, you could, if you chose to right now, as a resident, you could put the brightest light you want on your backyard and shine it directly at your neighbors. And there's not a thing we can do about it other than your neighbors might come talk to you. But as a
Can I-
town, maybe you can help me, Mary Lou.
Well, yeah, can I speak to this, please? So B, if you did that light and shone it into your neighbor's window. There's nothing at this point that the town could do. It would be a civil matter for that neighbor to take you to court if that was a problem. At this point, the town board is looking into doing something to remedy this very problem that you're experiencing at your home, and it sounds like Mike Baden's also experiencing it at his home. But in the meantime, it's a civil matter between
Agreed.
you and your neighbors. But the town board's working to make it better for all the people, so this doesn't happen for pre-existing things. At this point, the town can't do anything, but they're working on a method so that they will be able to do something in these cases.
I did hear you correctly when you said it could be solved civilly.
If, what I'm saying, yeah, whenever there's a problem between neighbors, if something's a nuisance and it's not part of the building code or the zoning law, there's no relief from the town. People always have the opportunity to hire their own attorneys and get advice from them, and maybe there's a civil matter there. You know, but the town's working on something to help you folks out.
But I'm not willing, then, if I'm asked, God help you all, and I'm gonna say the only way this can be solved, and this is gonna be my take on it, is if we all hire a lawyer and get together. Because the town board at this time.
Can't, and it's not that we don't want to, it's that we don't have any legal ability to, but as soon as this,
You have no moral.
as soon as this became an issue, it's, yeah. I will continue to work with them. I will continue to, when I see it being incredibly bright, and admittedly, I'm looking from the road on Cherrytown.
You can't
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no, I know you can't. I believe it is somewhat better. I did see some lights off that were previously on, but last night when I went home, they were back on again. So,
I have pictures.
yeah,
I
no,
went
I'm-
up to the top of the
Yep.
hill and
Yep.
My camera lights up.
yep, I all agreed with you, and I agree it's a problem. But as Mary Lou said, right now, the only solution is a neighbor to neighbor initiation of hiring an attorney. We will, and part of the reason we're moving as this as a separate chapter, part of it is so it can be a standalone, but the other part is it won't be a part of the zoning code. We can adopt it
Becomes town
much
road.
quicker. Yes, it'll be a standalone chapter, just like other chapters about.
Like littering.
It can be in effect in January.
It's still got to be referred to the county planning boards. It could probably be adopted by January, by some point in January. I don't want to give false hope.
So
If
by
we get it written in
February,
December,
March,
yep. I am hoping we can come to an agreement and get it to the county in January, to our local planning board, and get it adopted by the end of January. And
And
then,
we'll look into whether that has to go to them because it's not a zoning law, but it's a little bit zoning related. So we'll have to
yeah,
look at whether it must
my
go to them. or
experience,
not.
anything that is land use related has to go to them, so.
And it has to apply, it would apply evenly to the whole town.
Yeah, it would apply to everybody's
Which
lights.
is good.
Right, absolutely.
Variety of property.
And however we establish the period that we give people to update their lighting would also apply.
And we also have like so many, what's the parcel rate on that?
We don't know yet.
We haven't.
We haven't written it yet. We haven't written it
All
yet.
right, so.
I've seen everywhere from 6 months to, I saw one version of 10 years. And everything in between. So I found about a dozen examples. I plan to work on this, and I apologize to the board. I've turned this into a back and forth.
Sorry.
We're not supposed
I
to,
appreciate
but it's
that.
important. And I want you to feel like you're being heard.
What's very sad is the fact about the general decisions are, even though they're only used when the board is writing to give that decision more teeth, if you will.
Correct.
But but it doesn't give the general public anything to stand on.
because it's a part of zoning, which is a part of that process. And it's not, and that's why writing it as a standalone will take it out of zoning. And it will be its own code enforceable throughout the entire
And
town.
so, and who would be in charge of
Enforcement,
the town to enforce?
code enforcement.
So then this other thing that concerns the protecting if any of that's unsightly, pieces and noisy land uses and operations is equally the same.
Well, all those, that whole section of statements you're reading, B,
I know.
are,
I know what
no,
they
but
are.
they're directly out of the comprehensive plan. And that's, as you know, the comprehensive plan is the basis for zoning code, but it's not a code in itself. And that's exactly what those statements are. They're the reasons for you have to have the comprehensive plan in order to have your zoning.
Right.
So they're the explanation for every other chapter that follows after it in terms of what you can and can't do.
What basics is what I just found out.
That section of code has no teeth. You are correct.
I'm not.
It's the, because there's no,
It's teeth for putting it in your decision as a zoning board. It has
Correct.
teeth to condition
It-
your zoning.
It's the preamble.
it's
Yeah,
exactly, it's the
I got
preamble. It's saying everything that the zoning code is then going to do in the future, you know, or in the
And that's
rest.
what
Strive to do.
we used it for. I thought it had more teeth.
No, it's a basis,
That's very good.
but every zoning code has that
Absolutely.
explanation of why they
I
exist.
didn't deal with every.
I understood.
word. I dealt with
Yeah.
this one. We used it time and time again for decision making. And that's very clear.
But that's one thing that it helps for, like, if the town were to get sued for a decision, and you rooted it in that protects.
Right,
the
if your decision was based on those statements, that was okay, but those statements can't be interpreted to create new code.
And Mary, we never lost an audit.
Nope.
You didn't hear it. Did you hear that?
Don't jinx me, B.
I'm sorry, but you did.
I don't think she ever, have you ever? Oh, we won't get into that. but-
Anyway, thank you for your time on this, but I do invite every one of you at dark 30 or
Mhm.
thereabout. Half an hour past dark 30 when it's very
Yep.
dark to come over.
Right?
We don't need candles.
Understood.
But eggnog.
And
I was gonna say, where there'll be wine, B, I know you'll have wine.
wine is good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Ms. Savory? Okay, but we're working on it and probably the December, whatever that meeting will be, the 21st, I think is the third Wednesday. I'm hoping to have an example to the board and we'll be rolling up our sleeves and trying to get something done as quickly as we can. Because I completely agree. And it's not just that. As you know, I'm 40 years in the lighting business. My eyes are very sensitive to lights in terms of intrusion. And I drive around the town and I see many other examples of problems as well.
It's not, in the summer, the trees are there.
Right.
When we get
Mhm.
snow on that,
I know. And I will tell you, the prime example is the night we got all that snow and I was driving home that night and I thought the spaceship was landing there. So-
so do we.
Understood.
We're used to the street lighting courthouse. That's not so good because it's always been here. But all these other ones, my God.
Got you.
Thank you.
Okay, town board member time? We've had a lot of it already, but anybody, any topics?
I have one thing, so there is always spirited discussion on Nextdoor. There's some other stuff related to public hearings and zoning codes. I just want to make sure I read it. I know other people read it. I want people to understand that these are proposals that were submitted to the town board that we are seeking public comment on. So nothing is set in stone. We want to hear public comment, but what I want to make sure people realize, because we're doing some information sessions, we have public hearings, we have public comment. everything that we've been considering and everything that's currently on the website is still open from a public hearing perspective. But to have those comments go into the record, maybe I'm just talking to the void, they have to be submitted to the town clerk at this point. So you can come say them in public comment, but to have them logged as part of that public hearing formally, they now have to go to the town clerk's office as a written response. So I just want to make. Yeah, well, you can post it on Nextdoor. It's just not in the record, but that doesn't, nobody files it. So I just want to make sure if people come to public hearings or people come to information sessions, they recognize that we can listen, we can take that into consideration, but it's not part of the formal process. So.
Okay. Moving on to resolutions, action on the minutes. Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the minutes of the November 3rd business meeting, November 3rd public hearings, and the November 16th workshop meeting. The November 30th minutes are tabled. That was just last night.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? There were those two corrections that I emailed Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, and I have a copy of the donation stuff here for you. Sorry, I didn't get these in your folders. It's a crazy day of stuff today, signing all the checks and then everything else that happens. So, accepting donations toward the Thanksgiving luncheon of $250 from the Rochester Residents Association. $100 from Arlene Levine, and I particularly want to thank Arlene, and she and Alan always have donated toward our luncheon events. And $70 from the Kerhonkson Accord Jewish Seniors, and $177 in various cash donations that were left by members of the public who came to the event. So, have that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Next, and this is on the back side of that page. The town of Rochester Town Board accepts donation of $70.30 from St. Pauli Textile.
Make that motion.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think, quite frankly, I think we're having a record year of donations for them. These are the people that have the clothing bin out here. They give us a percentage of what they get, and every month it's between $75 and $70 to $100. So it helps. Next, electrical inspectors. There's 2 pages. They're 2 different pages, and that's the other one. Was a request, and that's one set. This is a request from the building department. Town of Rochester Town Board, upon request by the building department, the Town of Rochester Town Board authorized the addition of David Smith. The company is called The Inspector LLC, 5390 State Route 11, Burke, New York, 12917, to the list of Town of Rochester approved third-party electrical inspectors.
I'll make that.
Second.
I'll second.
I want to add a little discussion moment here. This guy just sent us his certificate of insurance coverage. Normally, and I did reach out to Alyssa, normally they also send us their certification from, I guess it's, I'm over to ULL, or who certifies them as an inspector. We didn't get that in this case, we just got the insurance. I don't know if we want to table it for the moment, or if we want to approve it contingent on receiving that. Mary Lou, do you have any advisement? I mean, there's nothing, we're just adding them to the list, so it's up to Jerry to verify, but we've always had that.
I think, seeing as you've always done it, you could make it that you authorize the addition of David Smith, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end, add upon presentation or upon receipt of,
Certification? Okay.
Yeah. New York State certification.
Okay, so who made, you want to
As
just
amended.
amend that motion?
Yeah,
And who was second on it?
Michael?
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Amendment, okay, so we're just gonna add on presentation of certification. And I'll follow up with Alyssa and make sure that that gets conveyed to them. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Everyone are trying to figure out, that is way upstate. They must-
It is,
it's like
I
up
knew
in
I was familiar
Plattsburgh.
with it, and it's because I went to college in Potsdam, and it's in Franklin County. It is far away.
But they must be building the house or something here. that they-
Yeah, or they have, maybe they're a big organization and I don't know. It's far away.
I just want to point out that this document has personally identifiable information, so you should be careful about discarding. That's really-
Oh, yes, yes. If you want to give it back to me, I will shred them. It's up to you.
Yeah.
I just wanted you guys to see it, that you had it. It's your call. It does live in our files. You guys, if you want to do the same, then I'll shred them.
Sure. I don't know.
I just want to
And
make
I
sure
just have a
that,
box. of more stuff in it.
right here, that's the donation one. I'll keep that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for this. I was gonna hand you a full file.
Next, this is authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract with the UCRA contract extension. Town of Rochester Town Board agrees to section 19 of the Municipal Solid Waste Management Agreement dated January 1, 2022 between the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency and the Town of Rochester, extending the agreement an additional 3 years on the same terms and conditions. The supervisor is authorized to acknowledge acceptance of the extension to the UCRA.
I like to make that motion.
Okay, I'll second it. What this is when they wrote our 1-year contract last year, they put in a provision that they reserve the option to extend it for 3 years. This will put us back on the same cycle as all the other municipalities. I approached the new director a couple weeks ago when I was up there for my own tour of the facility. And he said, let me look into it. I got an email from him the next day that said, we're authorizing this, or so all we're doing is accepting it. They've already authorized it as happening. We're not voting to, we're not signing a new contract. They're just extending the existing contract and exercising their option. But now we'll be back on the same cycle as everybody else. And the new executive director, he's amazing. The guy is just, let's roll up our sleeves and solve problems. I'm looking forward to working with him. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Next, this is authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract with planning board legal counsel. Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the town supervisor to sign the legal services agreement between Gordon and Svensson LLP, 42 Catherine Street, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12601, and the town of Rochester to provide legal counsel and representation to the town of Rochester Planning Board effective January 1, 2020.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
For the public, Mary Lou is stepping away from the planning board. She will still continue with the town board and the zoning board of appeals effective January 1, and we are retaining this council who does several other planning boards in the area. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. And I emailed that to you, but I have a paper copy if you guys want.
Mary Lou, thank you very much for all your years of helping the planning board. I know that you were valuable to me when I was there and so many others. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I can say Mary Lou has, what, 8 years as chair, 9 years as chair, whatever it was. I don't even remember anymore. I was very happy I had you on speed dial.
You most definitely did have me on speed dial.
Yes, I did.
Worked well, though. Thank you.
Next, authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract for the planning board for a wetlands consultant. The town of Rochester Town Board authorized the town supervisor to sign the services agreement between Cornerstone Associates, 1770 Central Street, Yorktown Heights, New York, 10598, and the town of Rochester to provide application wetland review consulting services to the town of Rochester Plan Board effective immediately. I'm gonna make the motion and then I'll ask for a second, and then I just want Mary Lou to sort of weigh in on this. She did review it, this agreement.
Yeah, did,
You'll second it? Okay, go ahead, Mary Lou.
I don't know, I know you were gonna talk to Bruce, or
I
you did talk
did,
to
and
Bruce.
Bruce did send, it's not a resume, what's a
Yeah, CV.
CV. He sent the CV of the company and was fine with attaching it.
Okay,
It's not an urgency that we do this. We can table this until all that gets resolved.
well, I was gonna say, I had other changes in there as well, like the way
Yeah.
the contract was written, it was that the town board and the planning board were hiring them. I don't know that the town board wants to do that. Maybe you do. Maybe you have another wetland consultant that you'd like to use should anything ever come up for you. So I think that, this guy's very qualified, Cornerstone's qualified, but I think they kind of have a standard contract if they're representing entire towns, and that's what they sent over. So you might want to table it just to get those changes made.
Yeah, Bruce from the planning board was concerned because they are reviewing one application right now. And he was concerned from a liability standpoint, and I simply said, get a certificate of insurance from them, naming the town of Rochester as an also insured, and then that would be covered. And so he was gonna pursue that. I put this on the agenda sort of at Bruce's request, but I think after talking to you earlier today, Mary, or yesterday, and now again, hearing you tonight, I'm gonna withdraw the motion. We'll get it clarified.
Or table it till we have
Yeah,
a,
okay,
a revised
so we'll just
contract.
table it for the moment then, and we'll resolve. I still question whether we even need it because we're not paying for anything out of town funds. It's all being paid on a project by project from escrow.
Yeah, it's being paid by escrow, but they're working for the town.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So we'll pursue getting that cleaned up and clarified. The moratorium extension, before I start reading this, Mary Lou had advised me that some of this, I probably said way more than I needed to in the resolution. So, Mary Lou, you said I can take out the sections about
All the
four
dotted
points?
sections, all the bullet points.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you put in those 4 bullet points, but then you don't also put in, there's a waiver provision, or, they can come before the board. People might think that's being taken out and this is all that you're extending, but you're extending the entire moratorium. So I would take out all those bullet.
Right. And the word prohibiting would also come out.
Actually, yeah, let's see, where's on June 2nd,
said- Declares a
well,
moratorium.
the town board hereby declares,
A
you
moratorium.
don't even, hereby extends the moratorium.
Okay. Extends the moratorium.
And
I think the rest is okay though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, which one of the lower ones?
The 180 days more.
As long as you say it right.
Yeah, which one?
Next to
Up
the-
top?
I'm under the bullets, the third.
Well, the
Second
bullets
paragraph.
are going away.
Well, under
Karen
the
was the one that's.
Second.
you know what? On that first sentence, the beginning, Whereas on June 2nd, 2022, the Town of Rochester Town Board adopted Local Law 3 of 2022, declaring for a period of 180 days from the effective date of this local. Okay, we're going to rewrite this as we're sitting here, okay?
Okay,
All right. Whereas on June 22nd, the Town of Rochester Town Board adopted Local Law 3 of 2022.
oh, I see what you're saying.
And then what was the title of that? Local law.
Local Law 3, it was just listed as Local Law 3 moratorium.
All right,
That's
all
all it
right.
said.
Then put moratorium after Local Law 3 of 22. Moratorium.
Whereas the town, on June 2nd, the Town of Rochester Town Board adopted Local Law 3 of 2022 moratorium.
Yep. And whereas,
Do I still say the declaring the period?
no, I think that it should be phrased a little bit differently.
Okay,
Providing for a moratorium lasting 180 days from filing with the Secretary of State.
hang on, because you're, so. Adopted Local Law 3 of 2022 moratorium, providing for a period of 180 days from the effective date.
Right, providing for a moratorium for a period of 180 days.
Okay, hang on, for a moratorium. Chrissy, I'll rewrite all this. For a period of 180 days
You can keep from the effective date
from the effective date
of
Oh.
such local law.
such local law.
And then right after that, go right down to the next whereas. You can take everything
Okay, so
else
the rest of
out.
that sentence goes out.
Whereas the effective
Next
date
whereas, yep,
is June 7th, the date filed with the New York State, whereas,
right,
all right,
yep,
the rest is fine.
okay, that's what I thought.
The rest is
But
fine.
just that first sentence. Okay, so here's the resolution. Whereas on June 2nd, 2022, Town of Rochester Town Board adopted Local Law 3 of 2022 moratorium, providing for a moratorium for a period of 180 days from the effective date of such local law. Then we're going to skip to whereas the effective date of this local law is deemed as being June 7th, 2022, the date filed with the New York State Department of State. Whereas the 180-day moratorium expires, and that's the moratorium. Expires on December 4th, 2022. Whereas the Town of Rochester Town Board, with adoption of Local Law 3 of 2022, allowed for the time period set forth in this section may be extended by 2 additional periods of up to 3 months by resolution of the Town Board. Upon a finding of necessity for such extension, and whereas the Town of Rochester Town Board continues to work diligently and timely toward the adoption of code revisions. Therefore, the Town of Rochester Town Board, pursuant to Local Law 3 of 2022, extends Local Law 3 of 2022 until March 4th, 2023, with the adoption of this resolution.
Can I
I'll
make
make
one
that.
more addition, Mike?
Yep.
After 3 months, put 3 months each, so they don't think that this, because it allows for
2 additional periods of up to 3 months each.
each,
Yeah, I took it as a direct quote of what the law said.
right?
Can add that, yep. Okay, I'll make that motion. Do I have a
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, Aaron. Okay.
And we have to now, update the.
I will just send them,
Yeah, they just get a
I'll
letter
send
that
them a
says,
copy of that resolution. What I'll do is get a certified copy from Kate and forward it to that.
Didn't they want us to, if we extend it, they wanted an update on our progress?
They know
Oh,
because we
okay.
sent them every local law. Matter of fact, every month, the comment is how many more local laws are you guys sending? Because we're up to local law DD, so they know, they're very aware of our progress.
and make sure, sometimes we forget, make sure that the building department and the planning and zoning office know as well.
Yes, I will send them a copy as well. Okay, this next is seeker review. That's one set. That's one set. That's one set. That's one set. Yes. And here's one set. So let me start before we do the resolution. Thank you. And just give a, sorry,
For a time. Come and see the lights.
okay, I will. If you hear Bosco barking, it's because I wanted by. This resolution, Open Space Institute has received funding from the county for rehabilitation of the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail and the Owen Dam. One of their 3 projects that they selected was our town hall to Kerhonkson section of the rail trail that they were going to rehab it starting this spring. It is required that we do a seeker on it. They have viewed it as a type 2 action. Mary Lou reviewed it and concurred with that decision. So I emailed you the link to the file because it was rather large, but this is a copy of their cover letter, which has their seeker recommendations on it, and a copy of their memorandum from Greenman Peterson. I'm not sure what the I stands for. I can't remember. GPI. Oh, Inc. There we go. And that is their engineer's analysis of why this is not a significant impact.
And your attorney's analysis says that their engineer is spot on.
Right. Good. So they're asking us for the type 2 action tonight. They would like to come to our December 16th meeting and give a presentation to the board of more about the project. So I've tentatively confirmed that with them. So they will be coming to our December, or I said 16th, 21st, excuse me, December 21st meeting. And we'll get a 15-20-minute presentation of where things are. So this is the recommended resolution. Town of Rochester Town Board, upon review of the following documents: the overview map dated January 2022, prepared by Open Space Institute. The short form EAF, which I did not print out, but part 1 dated November 28th, 2022, prepared by Open Space Institute. And the memorandum of environmental review dated April 26, 2022, prepared by Christopher C. Cornwell, PE GPI, determines the rehabilitation project at the 3.22 mile section of the O&W Rail Trail from town of Rochester Town Hall to Kerhonkson Main Street will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment and should be classified as a type 2 action under the following 6 NYCRR Part 617 criteria. No further seeker review is required, and they are going with C1 and C2, which is maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in existing structure or facility, and replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of the structure or facility in kind on the same site. That motion. A second. I'll second. A roll call vote. So you can start, and then when Eric comes out,
I'll answer.
just skip Eric for the moment and start with Michael. And we'll get it.
Aye.
Councilman Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smith. Should I ask about Supervisor? Ray?
Go ahead.
Okay, Supervisor Ray.
Aye. And here comes Aaron.
Councilwoman. Now,
You all spoke really slowly,
Sorry.
especially Michael. That's okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, so we have a type 2 action, type 2 action, and so next, Housing Advisory Committee. I have here, like David Letterman, I have here in my hand. There you go. These are the people that we interviewed. I wasn't smart enough to make a second copy. Chris. We can do it one of two ways. We can wait to vote until Charlotte gets back. We can do it one of two ways. We can do it all as one group, or we can do them individual nominations for appointment and go one by one. I think since we discussed it in executive session, more or less I believe we know our answers. There's no problem with voting on them as a group.
Yeah, I think it was just the one.
Okay.
The one
Um,
I got.
Are you comfortable with voting on the, as a one group, or do you want to, we can vote individually either way?
I'm fine as one group.
Okay, since we talked about it, and I believe we're in agreement.
Yeah, and I would after speaking, but if I would feel comfortable after speaking with the other person.
Yeah, what was the name?
I can say it right, yeah,
Yeah.
Alex, Noonan?
ALI.
ALIS.
Yeah, and then what was the last name?
Noonan, UM.
UME. So, so the resolution then would be, the Town of Rochester Town Board nominates, and these are the names, and Christina, I'll give this to you. So it'd be Elaine Bell, Elizabeth Zeldin, Alana Blum, Claire, is it Wasserman or just Wasserman? It's Wasserman, okay. Because on her Zoom, it said Claire Wasserman.
Yeah, it's Washington, yeah.
Lake Arrowwood, Martha Roberge, I know she goes by Marty, but it's Martha. And Alex Newman,
I have one question.
yes.
Is there a reason that we're nominating them for appointment and not just appointing them?
No, because the only reason was when I thought we were gonna be like doing them one at a time, it was a nomination and a vote. So, actually, the resolution should say the Town of Rochester Town Board appoints. And then the names,
Then the list.
yeah, for appointment to the ad hoc Housing Advisory Committee. Yeah, I was doing it like we did the planning board when we had multiple
Mhm.
candidates and each one was nominated and then voted on.
Yep.
Because I didn't know where we were headed, so, so it's the Town of Rochester Town Board appoints, and then the 7 names for appointment to the ad hoc Housing Advisory. Want to make that motion
Yeah.
since it's your committee?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Christina, that's the list.
oh, my, Adam already gave that to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did
I'm
you,
trying to
did
get
you
rid of
cross
paper.
out the one
Yeah.
that? Crossed out the 2, right? Okay.
My best.
Scarlett, if you want to reach out to everybody and see if sometime in the near future, there might be, find a date that the majority of them can meet, we can have it, schedule an initial meeting. I would like to be at the initial meeting just to get them started and then involve you guys.
I'm happy to do
Um,
that.
Question, Mary Lou, if I remember correctly on these ad hoc committees, does this one also, like, I remember when the zoning review committee was meeting, there was no requirement that they be public meetings. There was actually a ruling from open government about that. You know about this committee? Do they
Uh,
need?
I will check on it. I'll check on it.
Okay, and
I'm
then the
just
other
not
thing to
sure.
check on is if people can zoom in or if they have to be in person. Would be the other question.
Okay.
Because I can send you we created the the charge for the housing committee. That it's 7 members for what do you say, what was it? Looked it up last night. 2 or 3 year term? 7 members for a 2-year term.
Okay,
But they're advisory to the town board. They have no authority over anything, and so. I
I'll
just-
check.
Yeah, we'll just want to be clear of what they can and can't do.
Yep.
Thank you.
I will let you know, and I will let Charlotte know as well.
So
Thank
moving
you.
on then to, this is a question onto discussion item.
Can I ask one question about, does the town clerk still notify them that they were appointed, or am I doing that?
No, why don't you,
Email
since
that.
you have all their contact, info, you can, they don't need to be sworn in, I don't think. Because it's an advisory board. Is that, I remember in the past, like the ZRC did that. So I'm assuming this would be the same. You can confirm that with me. But since you have all their contact info, if you want to let them know they're on it, and then it's up to you. I'm happy to, the one that didn't get selected, if you want to let them know, or however you want to handle it. If you don't, I'll certainly do it. And just find out when they ought to be available, maybe not necessarily next week, but the week after that. Week of the 12th, I guess that is. If that works. So we can maybe get a meeting, and if not, let's do it early January. It's once we get closer.
I was gonna say, I think it might be easier if you
Wait till
early
January?
January with the holiday. The week of the 12th is like crazy.
Oh, then
So-
by all means, I saw the face you made. By all means, make it be the second week of January.
I got 150 families to figure out delivery routes for.
Got it.
Food, so,
Okay, second week of January it is. Let's let them know they're on.
yeah, great, I can do that.
This is a question. So in the past, we've done our organizational meeting usually on the first Monday or Tuesday of January. Our regular meeting is on the Thursday. This year, with the second being the recognized holiday, we couldn't do it till Tuesday the 3rd, and then Thursday the 5th, we have the regular meeting. We could do one of two things. We could do them both on the 5th, if we want to, but bear in mind it means the organizational meeting and then the regular meeting. Or do you want to have 2 meetings in the one? You mean, okay. Good.
Let's do it all at once.
Well,
No, 2 meetings is fine.
I'm not like try to race through the organization as fast as they can.
Not only that, I think, again, we made a lot of decisions and budget, a lot of decisions here. I think that meeting deserves its own time and space.
I agree. So with that then, question, do we want to do the organizational at 6 or 6? 6? Okay. Then I'm gonna make a motion to schedule the 2023 Town of Rochester Town Board organizational meeting. Not me, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Harold Lipton Community Center, 15 Tobacco Road, Accord, New York. And request the town clerk circulate legal notice of the second.
I'll second.
Mary Lou, can you make that date? I don't know that we need you, but if we do, just so I know.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself because I too was having a coughing fit like Mike. See, that date is fine with me.
Okay. I don't know that the organization if we'll need you or not, but if we do, good to know. So.
Just let me know in
6
advance.
p.m. Oh, absolutely. I'll call you on the 1st.
That's fine. I'll be sleeping.
Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Charter Spectrum, Michael. Here is a red line version of Michael's proposed changes to their agreement. Did you send this also to Mary Lou or just? me?
Yeah, I think you sent it
Got
to
it?
me, Mike. You sent it with this stuff for the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yes, I did. So.
And I'm good with your changes.
Yes.
Score.
I got more though. No.
That's okay.
So, in general, I'm fine with the changes too. Do you want to sort of paraphrase, Michael, what your sort of changes are? And
Yeah, so I think the big concerns Mary Lou had were better defining timelines and things. So setting a period of performance when things start, when the clock technically starts, because we have concepts of things end at a certain point, but they're all pegged off of when they start. So I tried to add some of that. The other thing I broke out, because there's 3 project areas they called out. I didn't want them to be waiting for all 3 to get the approval. So I tried to call out that they could start work on the individual project areas as soon as they have the full permits and everything is set to go for that. The make ready work, I did get that back from Spectrum. That was the description that he sent. I have the clarification on that. I don't, so they could push back on a bunch of this stuff. Like, I don't know if 90 days is reasonable, or they're going to look at 90 days after they receive the initial payment. And basically I said by 90 days, you should have a file for all the folders. Not got them, but to show good faith that you're making effort and you've applied for them. They may come back and say that's not realistic. I don't know. We'll send it to them and see. If they can do that.
Wes,
Thank you.
I added this, should the project not be completed within 2 years of granting receiving initial payment, we'll have the option to cancel the remainder of any portion of the work. Took out upon written request. That was one of Mary Lou's suggestions. I'm in section 5 now. The reports will include at a minimum the status of all requested full permits, status of an issue of any issue Spectrum considers an excusable delay, and a timeline for completion of the individual project areas. I just added some more specificity to that. Yeah, the all liability insurance policies, procure and maintain. I think that's Mary Lou's suggestion. And then what's that? Oh yeah, moving it to New York.
yeah, since we're not in Missouri.
Venue. I increased the megabits per second to 50.
Try it and see what they say.
Yeah, I think 25 is low. I get annoyed with my spectrum sometimes goes below 25, and it's not. I mean, that's slow. That's like satellite. So I think 50 is reasonable. The megabits up. So in terms of the projects, here's where it gets complicated. So I drove these roads. I talked to people at several of these addresses. So Mike, I know you had a few that you had found.
Yeah, so St. Joe's you're saying you want to remove 57 and just do 50?
I don't want to, I don't know that I want to remove it, but there's no connection to it there because it's a parcel with a structure on it that does not currently have anyone living there. So I think, you know, they're going to go past it. So if in the future the owners want to do something, they can, you know, they're probably within the.
My concern is that they're gonna come back and say, well, no, that's 7 passings and that's gonna be another $3,500. So.
Well, I can say, so the whole passing concept, I have a little bit of a problem. It's like, just because you're passing a house, it's gonna cost you the same amount as doing a connection to the house. We can debate that, and I think there's a larger discussion I want to have with the board about how much do we want to concede to the pricing that they provide us. Do we want to see if they'll offer us some additional? If we do this entire project, if they'll offer us a better contribution from the port. 58 is a campsite, but there is electric there, so they could potentially have cable hookup. So I think it's valid to keep that.
The Cherrytown Road, we think 683 doesn't seem to exist.
I don't think
If
it's.
they didn't have 633 on the list, we think it's a typo.
Right, so I'll suggest that. 601, I did talk to them there, that's new construction, and it already has conduit from the road. So if they're down there already, if they can add that in, I think that's a reasonable ask from our part. So that would be a new address, that is a new structure.
That's still 6 passings because they only had 5 addresses before, but they had 6 passings. So but they may have counted 633 is on both sides of the road.
Oh, that's
And
right.
there's a structure. On one side, there's a house, on the other side, there's a work garage barn that I could potentially see that person might want internet there because it's a business. It's the storage barn for a contractor. So that's where their business is, their house is on the other side of the road. So potentially they may want it in both locations, but they're both 633. So maybe they were counting that as two.
Yeah, so I can clarify that, or maybe we just do a swap and then if we add that address in, then it would be said. And then I did talk to Bell's, which is the Netacons Road, so that's 2 parcels, 4 structures, but I think the primary residences at those addresses are the priority. So I would like to just ask for those connections.
Did you figure out what the unit A, B, and C meant?
Yeah, so one is the primary residence, one is the business, and one is another structure.
Okay.
So I think those 2 addresses, if those are connected, there may be other ways.
So in
to
their
provide.
mind, those 2 addresses had 2 sites each.
No,
They're saying 4 paths.
there's one on one side of the road. And then the main property with the business on it has 3.
Oh, that's the 647. Now I understand. 622 was on one side of the road. 647, A, B, and C is the other.
Correct. So if we can
So a
connect,
total of 4.
yeah, so if we can connect the primary residences, see, it's not an insignificant amount of money. I think that would be the priority because they could potentially do Wi-Fi or some other means there. So,
And this is the one, just so you know, Mike, Spectrum, when I first brought this back, if this was a business, Alex back then was not Alex, Kevin Egan. Kevin was very interested in trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, because I think they get different credits for businesses than they do for residents.
okay.
Which is why I think he was so eager to help figure it out.
The other 2 is we know that there's one address on Lion Place. I have to get the number, the house number for that.
57 sticks in my head.
And then, like I said,
Oh,
over
the
the
one on
summer
Upper
I went up on
Tarrytown?
Upper Tarrytown. So you said you thought that might have been 5 minutes.
I think so. I'd have to drive up there and look at the mail.
I may be able to look at the map too.
I thought it was the last property before the state land.
Yeah, I left the card on the door there. It said, please contact me about X, Y, and Z. I never heard back, so.
I don't know, the woman was elderly and
I-
she's not even there anymore.
I don't want to ask for it and then, but based off where the house sits, I don't know why it wouldn't be connected. So it's possible that it's just in the system wrong and they would connect it anyway. So I can try to reach out again and see.
For the board, the story, when they were installing on there, it's right before the state land, and they were, the telephone pole in front of this woman's driveway, they were connecting up to that, and when they were connecting, she went out and talked to the installer and said, am I getting it too? And they said, oh, yes, of course you are. And then they left, and she never got it. So back 4 or 5 years ago, I met this woman. She told me the story, and it's a single house because beyond that is where all the state land to the waterfalls is in the parking area. So they're not going to go past there, but there's really no reason that she never got connected other than, who knows. It was a Friday and they all went home and forgot about it. I don't know.
I was just grateful my phone.
Thanks. So if we take out the 2 extra connections, where that takes it down a chunk, I still think I would like them to contribute. I would like the board to allow me to
Go for it.
broach that.
Doesn't hurt to ask. I don't think you need our approval because eventually you're gonna bring an agreement that we're gonna stop on. So if you wanna say, try to negotiate. And you've done better than anybody else has so far, so you might as well.
Well, that's what worries me.
Yeah.
Very eager to get something signed.
Well, Alex seems to be very different than previous people at Spectrum, and you guys have developed
Pretty
a rapport.
You are.
You are.
It's the beard.
It is. It's that,
I don't think
Power
he's
comes
seen
from-
it. He's looking
it's
up
that
on
teddy
LinkedIn.
bear,
Very
you
professional.
know.
Is it late?
No.
So, other than that, all the changes.
You just embarrassed me.
There are more.
Well, including you, it's you've got a quorum.
So, but other than that, Mary Lou said the changes are good. Everybody else agrees with kind of the changes. I think I'll ask about those two. Well, I really want to confirm the Upper Cherry Town one.
Yeah, let's confirm.
Yeah,
it.
because those are gonna be more expensive.
Yeah.
out of that standalone.
The Ryan Road one, it comes down the road and it just stops, and then there's two more houses, but one, the house is practically falling down. So it's almost like there's no point in watching it anymore.
Yeah.
The other one, they got a quote to bring it to their house of $60,000. And I said, before you pay that, let's
Yeah, a little more.
let's talk.
Yeah, quarter of a million.
Yeah. Above ground.
Okay, well, good. So go
See.
for it. See what you can find out. Put on those boxing gloves.
Well, happy holiday. I'm gonna do bare knuckle.
And then why don't we see if we can come up with any others that we think are, but those I think those are the ones that people have reached out and said we really want. The other addresses
And
that
they're
we
big
have,
gaps.
and they're big gaps. So, okay, Bridge New York. They have put out a call for projects. Again, they're doing it a little differently this year. They are, the other one. So what they're doing now with Bridge New York is instead of the state managing it, they are making money available to the regions. And so the Mid-Hudson region will get a certain amount of money, and the Ulster County Transportation Council will be in charge of that group of funding. The culvert process is the other one, which is this email, the shorter one. That is still being run by the state. I just gave you this more to just sort of bring it to your attention. I talked to Jeff. We don't really have any other bridges other than Boyce Mill that he can think of that we really need to deal with. He has probably a culvert or two. The process is still, we have until January 13th to apply. So he's looking into it. I just wanted to sort of ask the board what they felt about it is, we're in one big one already. We want to take on another one.
Culverts are expensive more, I remember.
Well, and the other thing is that
Culverts are, each one can be no less than 100,000. They're usually about 250 by the time they're all said and done.
yeah, again, we got a major project going on that's got a lot of supervision, stuff like that. I mean, we would probably replace the coal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we won't be using our labor largely for
Bridge New York?
yeah,
No, we won't be at all.
right. So we got the guys, they do a great job. And again, if we can get a free couple $100,000, let's do it.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
It doesn't hurt you from applying in the future or anything.
No, absolutely. We can apply all we want. And, whether we get it or not, they may go, you guys already got one, you're not getting another one. I don't know. So what I may be doing then in the workshop meeting is coming to you, if Jeff can come up with one, coming to you and asking again that we hire CT Mail.
Thank you.
got our
I'm gonna
Bridge
put
New York
myself on.
application, And they're, you know, for a couple $1,000s, they knocked that apart. They got us $2 million for a $2,000 investment in that.
Well, I guess first thing is Jeff thinks we need culverts, you know, now or anytime in the very near.
He said, maybe, you know, when I talked to him a couple days ago, I said, did you see the email? And he said, yeah, I saw it. I said, we got anything? He said, well, we may have a culvert or two. Let me look into it. So that's where we are. He's looking into it. If he comes back to me next week and says, hey, I found what we should do, then I'll reach out to CP Mail and say, are you guys willing? And if they say yes, then I'll have them send us a contract, and I'll have you guys vote on it. We get them to knock out the application.
Awesome.
Yeah, bridge money.
It's more than that bridge money. So the ambulance district board of advisors, you see, I haven't put board of advisors there instead of commissioners. I knew we were gonna change the title. Do we want to put out an open call for letters of interest?
Yeah.
Yep. What kind of time frame? Do we want it back? Bear in mind, if we're gonna interview a lot of people, the December 21st meeting, we really need to focus on some zoning stuff. We got OSI coming already. I don't know that we want to try to do the interviews at the same time. But we don't have to set a time frame right now. And we don't even know how many we're gonna get.
I've
That's our
heard-
workshop meeting, right?
Yeah,
That's over.
What day is the one, sir?
21st.
Wednesday, the 20th.
That's I thought we had a big gap.
oh, I see what you're saying, since, yeah, but that day, you know, if we did interviews during the day after the.
Just stay here all day.
Exactly. Lunch before the workshop meeting.
Well, we could call a special meeting if we have to, but.
I
So,
think we should, because that's less than 3 weeks. We still have to get the notice out. I think we can give a little bit more time.
The one concern is our contracts expire at the end of the year.
yes, but we can choose to continue them. We always have. I mean, in the past.
Just do they?
With KFAS, we never even got new contracts signed until like May or June.
Do they continue in force? They don't.
It's up to us and them. I mean, they're not gonna stop servicing us. And, you know,
Well, the contract,
contract was
separate from
more
the
for the
board.
money.
Right, I'm saying the
Yeah.
board. would-
Yeah, we have to do new contracts with both agencies, but I'm not so sure that the board of advisors is going to be involved in that.
No, they're only there to talk about budget.
Right.
And the 2023 budget is all set, so they're spending the whole year.
Right.
talking about the
Now, we still have
That's what
to,
I'm
we
saying.
still have, well, but it's set, but we still have to have a contract with them. What Aaron's saying is, the contract, our current contract
Yeah.
ends December 31st, 2022.
But again,
Right,
that
we
doesn't
definitely
affect the
need-
budget.
Right,
We will need a new contract.
But
Right.
that process is separate of
From-
appointing.
right. That's a town
So-
board process
so we-
this year.
What I'm saying is we can push this potentially to the workshop meeting in January.
We
And
could,
not hurt
we
it.
could even push it further than that, because there's no, until we're dealing with next year's budget, really, this group has nothing to do.
But again, if they're gonna form, you know, chart of the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, well, then they can familiarize themselves with the organizations.
And we said there probably won't be meet or may not be every.
So why don't I say by January, I don't know, January 1st?
Just give them through the holiday.
Yeah, too quick. I'm just saying workshop meeting with the January, sort of that would shake out.
They would submit resumes by.
Yeah, and then we,
That would
just
be
like we did,
18th.
just like we did for the housing committee, we could interview them on the 18th and then.
So we would want letters of interest. We need it like about a week in advance so we can set up the interviews. So by
The 9th would be Monday. I would give them the holidays the 2nd, then they have 4 more days.
yeah,
6 more days.
so by January 9th.
That would be so we can get
You said 19th?
the 9th.
No, the 19th is the.
18th is well, as long as we won't know till the organization.
Also
meeting.
true.
You guys
No,
say
I'm
when
gonna
we-
fight Wednesdays.
Are you?
John, I'm gonna fight for everything on the same day. I don't care what week it is, but same day.
Oh,
Consistency,
same day
like
of the-
same day.
I was like, you wanted to.
No, I don't want a 12-hour. No, I mean, consistently on the same.
Yeah,
One
the only
step.
problem with that is other meetings, availability is minimal.
I just
The
want to close
ZBA
to one
meets
side
on
of the
the
week,
third
so I
Thursday.
Wednesdays.
You've been doing great.
So anyway, okay, so January 9th. Okay, I will, do we want to just do a notice? Do we want to take out an ad in the newspaper? What do you want to do?
I read.
And did we ever determine if board members, or not board members, but active members?
We left it, it's
Open.
it's open, there's no, the determine is us, and we didn't write it in, so we can make anybody we want, including one of us, if we want a member of this. We're not planning on any of us. But we could. There's no, other than you must be a resident, that is the only criteria. Okay, second question, do we want to do the ad? We usually do it in the journal. We want to also put it in Bluestone. Journals are official paper. So
I put it in both.
I'll find out what the Bluestone's gonna charge us, because their ad prices, last time, the reason we didn't is skyrocketed. Okay. Wow, I thought we'd make 3 hours, look at that. So in memoriam, yeah, but she doesn't want to. And it's not executive session.
That's a word.
Yes. So we're adjourning in memoriam of Edith Cohen, Richard Pagel Jr., Mary Sissy Anna Schultes, Robert McClay, John Knight, Daniel Marshlick, Patricia Ann Benaway, Gloria DeRosa, Dr. Deborah Tillinger, the people of Ukraine, and all suffering worldwide from the COVID virus.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I add someone to that list, even though they're
Yes.
not from the town of Rochester? I told Mike about this. A very dear friend of mine passed away last week. I'll be doing her eulogy next week. Could you add Sandra Rose?
How do you spell the first name?
Saundra, and the rose like the flower.
Okay,
Sorry for
Thank
your
you.
loss, Mary Lou.
yeah, very
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you.
So with that,
Motion to
motion
adjourn.
adjourned, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay.